Breaking. In an unprecedented federal courtroom showdown, Donald Trump's legal team was physically removed after the judge revealed previously undisclosed evidence that blindsided the defense. According to witnesses in the courtroom, the moment unfolded with jaw-dropping intensity, leaving lawyers, reporters, and even court staff stunned. The hidden evidence, a critical document linked directly to Trump's dealings, exposed inconsistencies in the defense's arguments, forcing the judge to act decisively. Inside sources described chaos as attorneys shouted at the bench, claiming the court was rigged, while federal marshals prepared to escort them out. This isn't just a procedural hiccup. This is an explosive moment that could reshape the trajectory of Trump's trial. The stakes are massive: credibility in front of the jury, potential ethical violations, and a rare public display of courtroom discipline in a case that's already under intense national scrutiny. Legal analysts immediately pointed out that being removed from court is not only embarrassing, it carries potential consequences for the attorneys' licenses, and any misstep now could reverberate across Trump's legal strategy. Meanwhile, political commentators are scrambling to interpret what this signals for both the trial and Trump's public image. Could this moment sway undecided jurors? Will it fracture Trump's defense team further? As we break down exactly what happened, who's responsible, and how this secret evidence threw the courtroom into turmoil, the implications are clear. Trump's legal fight has just entered a level of chaos and drama rarely seen in modern U.S. history. The entire incident pivoted on one document, an email or memo previously undisclosed to the public. According to reports from CNN, Politico, and the Associated Press, the judge allowed the document to be introduced mid-trial, catching Trump's attorneys completely off guard. What makes this revelation so shocking is that the defense had repeatedly claimed they had reviewed all relevant materials, yet this particular evidence contradicted key statements they had made under oath. Immediately after the document was revealed, Trump's lead attorney demanded a sidebar, insisting the court declare a mistrial. The judge, maintaining strict control, allowed the discussion but cautioned the attorney against making unsubstantiated claims. Witnesses in the courtroom described the atmosphere as tense and electric, with reporters noting that even seasoned legal observers were visibly shocked at the intensity of the defense's reaction. According to multiple sources, the evidence was not new. It had been produced to the defense months earlier, yet the attorneys had overlooked the most damaging parts of the document. When the prosecutor highlighted this, showing the record that the defense had actually referenced the same document in prior filings, tempers exploded. The courtroom erupted into shouting, with the judge forced to call for federal marshals to restore order. This wasn't just a minor misstep, it was a total collapse of courtroom decorum, and a moment that will be dissected for years by legal experts. The secret evidence didn't just expose Trump's strategy, it exposed a catastrophic breakdown in his defense team's handling of the case. Once the judge demanded calm, the lead attorney doubled down. Witnesses reported him accusing the prosecution of fabricating evidence, claiming the hidden document was part of a broader setup against Trump. The second attorney joined in, shouting that the court was biased and that constitutional rights were being violated. Federal marshals were called in to physically remove both lawyers as the courtroom erupted into chaos. Legal experts immediately noted that this behavior is virtually unheard of in federal court. Making demonstrably false statements to a judge, refusing direct orders, and accusing prosecutors of criminal behavior without evidence violates every standard of professional conduct. Some commentators compared the spectacle to historic courtroom meltdowns, while others suggested it may result in disbarment or criminal contempt proceedings for the attorneys involved. Trump himself reacted on social media, framing the attorney's ejection as a heroic stand against judicial corruption. Analysts warned that this public reaction could backfire, making it appear as if Trump condones aggressive courtroom misconduct. Inside the legal community, attorneys are divided. Some defend the passion and loyalty, while others condemn the lack of professionalism and the strategic blunder. The key takeaway: the defense's credibility has been severely damaged. A courtroom in which the attorneys are removed for shouting and making false claims does not inspire confidence in jurors or the broader public. The removal of Trump's attorneys has set off waves across political and media circles. Conservatives are spinning the story as proof of a rigged legal system, while critics argue that the meltdown underscores the fragility of Trump's defense. Cable news channels dissected every second of courtroom video, replaying the moment the marshals escorted the attorneys out and highlighting Trump's social media response. Political analysts warn that this event could impact Trump's broader public perception. Beyond the courtroom, the image of attorneys being ejected for misconduct paints a narrative of desperation and mismanagement. Even Trump supporters concede that the spectacle was difficult to defend. Furthermore, the media coverage emphasizes the seriousness of the ethics breach. Multiple outlets cited legal experts stating that the attorneys could face formal bar complaints, fines, and potentially criminal contempt proceedings. This raises questions about the sustainability of Trump's legal strategy and whether his remaining counsel can effectively navigate the trial under such pressure. The political consequences are intertwined with legal ones. A public meltdown like this may embolden prosecutors, weaken Trump's credibility, and give opponents new ammunition in both legal and political arenas. Trump now faces a courtroom with a severely diminished legal team. With the lead and second attorneys removed, a junior attorney is left to handle complex cross-examinations, evidentiary motions, and trial strategy. Veteran trial attorneys describe this scenario as catastrophic. Handling a major federal trial without the fully prepared team is nearly impossible. The jury has now witnessed the collapse, and legal analysts note that such events are rarely forgotten. Jurors tend to infer desperation or consciousness of guilt when defense attorneys are publicly removed. Every subsequent argument will be viewed through this lens. Trump's options are limited. Request a continuance to bring in new attorneys or proceed with the remaining team. Both choices carry major risks. A continuance would require the judge to restart key portions of the trial, drawing attention to the failure of the original defense. Proceeding with only the junior attorney may further weaken his case and leave him vulnerable to aggressive prosecution. The immediate trial impact extends beyond evidence and strategy. It directly affects juror perception, courtroom dynamics, and the potential outcomes of the case. The hidden evidence and attorney ejection may be remembered as a turning point in the trial. Beyond the trial, the attorneys now face serious professional repercussions. Making false statements to a federal judge, refusing to comply with direct orders, and publicly accusing prosecutors of criminal misconduct are among the most severe breaches of professional ethics. Legal experts from both sides of the political spectrum have confirmed that such actions could trigger bar investigations, suspension, or even disbarment. Criminal contempt proceedings are also possible. Although rare, refusing to follow a judge's order in a high-profile federal case moves the attorneys into territory where fines and jail time are legally plausible. Each attorney will likely need independent counsel to defend against any contempt or ethics investigations. Historically, high-profile attorneys who allow loyalty to a client to override professional obligations have faced career-ending consequences. Observers are drawing parallels to previous Trump-related legal controversies, showing a consistent pattern. Aggressive defense strategies that ignore ethical boundaries can destroy legal careers. The message to all legal professionals is clear: courtroom behavior has consequences. No matter the client or case profile, ethical obligations must come first. For Trump's legal team, this is a stark reminder that passion and loyalty cannot justify professional misconduct. The courtroom meltdown quickly exploded across media platforms. Cable news networks replayed the dramatic footage of federal marshals escorting Trump's attorneys out, while pundits debated the implications for both the trial and Trump's political future. Conservative outlets framed it as judicial overreach, with some commentators claiming the ejection was an attempt to silence a team fighting for their client. Meanwhile, mainstream and liberal media focused on the unprecedented nature of the attorney's behavior. Legal analysts emphasized that no matter the political context, shouting at a judge and making demonstrably false claims about evidence is career-threatening conduct. Social media was flooded with clips, GIFs, and viral commentary, fueling heated debates among supporters, opponents, and neutral observers alike. Trump himself reacted on Truth Social, praising the removed attorneys as heroes who stood up to corruption, while labeling the judge a partisan hack. Legal experts immediately flagged the post as potentially harmful, suggesting it could be used to argue that the attorney's courtroom conduct was part of a deliberate strategy to provoke appealable error. Across the board, media coverage painted a picture of chaos and dysfunction. Even some conservative legal commentators who typically defend Trump were forced to acknowledge the severity of the incident. The story has become one of the most discussed courtroom events in recent U.S. history, illustrating the collision between high-stakes federal trials and modern political theater. From a trial perspective, the jury now faces a high-stakes psychological situation. Jurors witnessed the lead attorneys being removed for shouting and making false claims, a scene that could subconsciously shape their interpretation of Trump's credibility. Experienced trial lawyers emphasize that juries often draw negative inferences when the defense appears chaotic or defensive, interpreting the meltdown as desperation or consciousness of guilt. The introduction of the hidden evidence further complicates the defense's position. Not only did the attorneys mishandle it, but the jury is now aware that it existed long before and contradicts prior defense claims. Even without understanding every legal nuance, jurors can grasp that the defense was caught off guard and unprepared. The remaining junior attorney faces the unenviable task of controlling the courtroom narrative while under intense scrutiny. Every cross-examination, objection, or motion will be weighed against the backdrop of the public meltdown. Legal experts note that this imbalance favors the prosecution, who can now present their case without the constant disruption from the lead defense attorneys. The jury's perception is critical. In a case of this magnitude, courtroom optics often matter as much as legal arguments. The attorney's ejection may linger in jurors' minds long after testimony resumes, subtly influencing deliberations and the weight they give to each piece of evidence. This dramatic event is likely to reverberate beyond the immediate trial. For Trump, the collapse of his legal team raises serious questions about strategy, credibility, and whether he can sustain an effective defense moving forward. Bringing in new attorneys mid-trial is logistically possible but politically damaging, as it signals that the original team was incapable of handling the case. Continuing with only the junior attorney is equally risky. Without the guidance, experience, and trial preparation of the removed attorneys, Trump's defense is now vulnerable to procedural missteps, cross-examination pitfalls, and missed opportunities to challenge key evidence. Prosecutors may exploit this weakness to push for decisive victories, and any misstep by the remaining team could amplify the jurors' negative perceptions. The attorney's ejection also sends a chilling message to other lawyers considering high-profile Trump cases. Competent, risk-averse counsel may hesitate to take on matters where loyalty could require ethical compromises, shrinking the pool of available legal expertise. For Trump, this could create longer-term challenges across other federal and state legal battles, potentially limiting his options to find attorneys willing to represent him aggressively yet professionally. Ultimately, this incident may mark a turning point, not just in this trial, but in Trump's overall legal strategy. The courtroom chaos, hidden evidence, and ejection of attorneys combine into a perfect storm, leaving the former president with difficult choices and heightened exposure to both legal and reputational risks. In summary, what happened in this courtroom is nothing short of historic. Trump's legal team was removed after a combination of hidden evidence, false statements, and outright refusal to comply with judicial orders. The spectacle highlights the high stakes of federal trials involving politically prominent figures and serves as a cautionary tale for attorneys everywhere. Loyalty to a client cannot override professional and ethical obligations. The immediate consequences are stark. Trump faces the remainder of his trial with a weakened legal team. The jury has witnessed chaos, and his attorneys may confront bar complaints, suspension, or even criminal contempt proceedings. The public fallout is equally significant, with social media, cable news, and political commentators dissecting every moment, magnifying the impact far beyond the courtroom. For viewers trying to understand what this means, this is more than a courtroom drama. It's a lesson in the fragility of legal strategy when confronted with unexpected evidence, the importance of professional conduct, and the psychological power of courtroom optics. A single misstep by defense attorneys can shift the narrative, sway jurors, and dramatically alter the trajectory of a high-profile case. As the trial moves forward, keep a close eye on how Trump adapts, how the remaining legal team manages under pressure, and whether the ejected attorneys face formal sanctions. Every motion, objection, and testimony will now be viewed through the lens of this extraordinary moment. The stakes have never been higher, the courtroom drama has never been more intense, and the unfolding legal story will likely dominate headlines for weeks to come. This is a turning point in Trump's trial, and the full consequences are only just beginning to emerge.